Let's go ahead and spend a minute talking about what's going on the quilting bed today at Brenda's Quilting Studio. Thanks for joining me. I am up here on my 14-foot computerized Gamble Statler stitcher. Yes, I can do it hand-guided, but I have it on computer mode right now. And let's talk about what's happening. Linda's quilt up here. She's making this for her granddaughter. Granddaughter loves turtles. Linda came across this fabulous fabric a while back and decided to put all this together. Going to be kind of a wedding gift for their wedding that already happened, but you know, kind of an additional gift. Going to be so loved. Linda loves to be creative and put together so many different blocks and ideas. One of her signatures is cornerstones that goes along with her borders almost always. Another signature is she has very straight quilts. I've laid it out here so you can see how straight and lovely that is. Let's talk about several things. One is the design I'm putting on is my JAPONICA, which is kind of like a little, let me see if I can find a good one for you, kind of like a little wisp right here that could be like clouds or wind moving or dust blowing, but it can also be like waves. And so let's bring it right over here. See, so it's like waves, and so that's what she's chosen to go on here, to be like waves. No matter what we chose or color of thread, nothing was going to show a lot because of how much color is in and activity is happening in the quilt itself. Now, she has chosen to put on a fantastic Minky blanket. And I say a blanket because it actually came as an actual blanket. She released the sides on the blanket so that it was wide enough. The quilt itself, I think, let me take a look here, is 83 inches. But the backing in the process of releasing the sides gives me about 95-ish, I think. I'm going to tell you, friends, when you do one of these Minky blankets, they're very, very stretchy. And that means that they sneak in on the sides a lot. And so even though I am getting about my 3 inches on each side right here, it'll sneak in to where over here I'm going to get hardly anything. So if you're going to use one of these Minky blankets, especially on a bigger quilt, I need a minimum of 5 inches on each side, because this little Minky is just going to sneak its way right in, and I'm going to have to be really careful with Linda's quilt and be able to get just as much as I possibly can. It is going to work, but it can be challenging. So I just want to give you that heads up. When you use Minky blankets, very, very, very stretchy, I need a minimum of 10 inches. Now, speaking of such, it also was going to be just long enough end to end, so I had her come back and put leaders on the top and the bottom, so I had something to grip with my red snappers, and that way I was able to use the entirety of her blanket in the creation of the quilt. So that's something else to be aware of when we're talking about Minky blanket. We do need that extra inches all the way around in order to make the difference. Do not put leaders on the sides. It will make it way too tight, and I won't be able to work with it. There's no ability with the tension of the seam that will go there. So that's not an option in this case. Let's go ahead and talk real quick about pressing job. You know how I speak about pressing is like half of the battle. And the better pressing, the better you're going to end up with. Look how beautiful and flat the top of her quilt is. Her pressing job is, of course, outstanding. And something that I want to show you is right here in all of these center sashings, it's almost like it's raised right there. How did that happen? Because she's pressing her green sashings in, causing a little bit of a lip on the turquoise piece right there. All of them are that way. They're raised just a little tiny bit. So if you have an area you want to emphasize, friends, that's something to be aware of, is pulling those in right there and watching out for your pressing job. You'll be really happy if you do that. You'll find it to be a benefit to the way that you've done your pressing. So very, very nice. All right, this is what I'm going to bring to you today. Stay tuned. There will be some other videos of this. There's lots of pictures over on Facebook and Instagram. So go check that out. Like and subscribe. Send a quilt over here to Brenda's Quilting Studio. I take quilts by mail all the time. Would be so happy to work my magic on your quilt as well.